all those Ironmans, all the winning competition, everything I was doing to get a validation from the outside world. I never got validation from myself. I was going for 48 years of my life looking for all the happiness, all the answers outside, and I got them all right here. That's what I messed up.
Welcome to the Masters of Business podcast with Daniel Beer.
My friends, you're in for a treat today. We have a very special guest on. And here's just so you understand how excited I am about this. The fact that he owns thousands of doors, apartments, the fact that it's billions of dollars in assets, the fact that he has accomplished more than you or I maybe even thought we could or would, or we even would have dreamed of, is the least interesting thing about him. And so we're going to dive into that. We're going to get this is going to be just a blockbuster episode right here, Masters of Business podcast. And you're going to get more than you bargained for tuning in. We are going to have a deep discussion that's going to border on everything from life to the inner game that is absolutely, at the end of it all, the only game that really, really matters. And so we have my friend Jarek Talda, and he is coming to us straight from Florida. Man, it is so great to have you here, and it's been so good getting to know you. Thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
So let's jump in here really quickly because we have so much to talk about, and it's just you've built this huge real estate portfolio, and yet every time I talk to you, every time that we're in a discussion, and it's interesting because we met at a business meeting.
Yep.
The conversation always leads somewhere else and not necessarily to the business side, yet you've built thousands of units. There was a time where you had zero. Yep. And so now I get to have this discussion with you for the very first time, guys. Like I'm going to finally get some of the nuggets that I haven't gotten yet, but we're going to find, I suspect that it's all tied together, is how you've been able to put together this huge, big life, seemingly had everything, and got to the point where it felt like really there was nothing there, right? And so let's just back up really quickly. Jarek, thousands of apartments. You are the biggest single entity real estate holder in the United States, possibly in the world. We're not sure about that, but certainly here. You had nothing at one point. Take us back to there was nothing. Take us back to the beginning of how you get that first unit, that 10th unit, that 100th unit, the 1,000th. And clearly there's too many stories between all that to be able to dive into every single detail of every transaction.
Yeah.
But
how many days do we have?
Yeah, exactly. There has to be principles that you could bring forward that some of us could borrow if we want to try to pursue some of what you've been able to achieve and fast forward those results.
You know, Daniel, the most important is I always, brother, want to move to the United States. So when I came here in 1993, like to me, it was a dream. A dream came through. Like this is like, there's no way I just arrived in the United States. You know what I mean? When you think about it, when you try to get here for like so many years since you were a child, my father was here in 1980 and then came back. So from 1980 till 1993, so it's been 13 years. I always want to come to the United States. When I got here, it was like, that's it, it's over. Like, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. And I just went straight to work. And, you know, like all the immigrants know English. I was a dishwasher in the restaurant, you know what I mean? Went to the school, English second language, finished college. And then I started looking, you know, what next? But in the meantime, I was doing, when I was in college and working in the restaurant industry, I was also doing cars, flipping cars, like buying cars after accidents, fixing them, and then selling them. And then one conversation changed my life. You know what I mean? My girlfriend family came over. They from Denver, and they said they live in the 4 units apartment building, and they rent the 3 other ones, and they live in one. And I'm like, done. And the rest is the history. I got home. I was like, that's what we're doing. I was living upstate New York. I graduated from college in 95.
Where'd you go?
In 3 years. And I bought my first fourplex.
Where did you go to school, just out of curiosity? I went to school in upstate New York.
Brockford, sunny Brockford. First I went MCC. It's a community college. You know, I'm an immigrant, so I didn't have money. And then I went to sunny Brockford.
Very cool. Oh, that's Syracuse, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, oh, well, So, and then after that, I moved to Denver, bought a first fourplex, and I thought that's it. But then my neighbor fourplex was for sale. I bought that fourplex. Sadly, I own two. And it's funny because I didn't know anything. The first fourplex I bought because I have zero knowledge. I didn't know how to ask questions. My business intelligence was zero, right? I just buying a fourplex. So I bought it with $200,000 fourplex with $50,000 down because I didn't know anything. The second one I bought with $5,000 down because I already knew I was already in the game. The third one I bought for $3,000 down.
Walk us through that. How does that happen? Because I think it's interesting. I was having another conversation earlier today on the phone with a common friend of ours, actually. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs is what's becoming very clear to me around what it takes to get into certain deals. People overestimate the cash they need. So I understand fully $50,000 on your $200,000 deal. Check. I get it. How do you acquire? What was the value of the one where you put $5,000 down, and what are the mechanics behind that someone could replicate?
Well, that's easy. Right now, and can you imagine? It's 32 years later, it still didn't change. It's FHA loans. You do owner-occupied FHA loan.
So you were moving into one of the units every time.
Yeah, I always occupied one. The buildings that I bought, they're occupied. You live there for 3 to 6 months, so you don't break any laws, and then you buy another one.
Man,
as long as you upgrade it.
What it would be to be single or to have a spouse that'll do that with you.
Yeah. Well, I have at that time I have a spouse actually.
And what I mean? Doing that with you, amazing.
But Daniel, like between you and I think if anybody's building any real estate portfolio, it's nice to talk to me because I've been in business over 30 years, so people only see the results. But it took me for 20 years, I was broke. I mean, I was always reinvesting. And even somebody wants to do small, but nothing big. I think changing homes, every 2 years, and just upgrade and keep the other homes and they're just renting. And by the time your kids are 18, 20, 25, you'll have portfolio out of 10 homes that can bring a lot of income. It brings you millions of dollars in assets. But yeah, it is work. It's life. It never changes. You know what I mean? So what happened is, after those fourplexes, my appetite grew. So then I sold all 3 fourplexes, and one turned to 12 units, the other one to 16 units, the other one to 17 units. And then the rest is history. Then that turned to 100 units, the 100 to 200, the 200 to 500, 2,000 to 2,000. And
you just kept rolling.
And 30 years later, it's like you sitting on a very healthy portfolio.
So say that again. How many years later?
It took me, but here what happened is, Daniel, I need you to know, I didn't know anything. So I was learning where I go. Let's say right now, if I were to start, I would probably get from 4 units to 100 units probably a lot quicker. It wouldn't take me 10 years right now. It would probably take me 2 years. You know what I mean? I understood the game. When you understand the game, because people say well, I don't have money, I don't have resources, I don't have that. You don't, but people do. You know what I mean? When 2008 happened, because I always say that I won lottery in 2008, I didn't have millions of dollars to invest. I use others people's money, but I never give equity. I'm big on not giving up equity. So I was giving my investors 15% return on investment, but I never given equity. So then I refinance the buildings and pay them back. And because, I over years, I was very, trustworthy businessman. So people were giving me more and more and more. So I was acquiring bigger and bigger deals.
That's such a great concept, though, because I love what you said. You didn't know everything. No one does.
I still don't.
But the collective wisdom that we all have the access and ability to tap into. And I think that the only thing, just thinking through this, why would someone not tap into the collective wisdom that already exists? It's abundant. It's available to everybody. I think that just thinking right here on the fly with you, those that don't tap into it there's something about themselves that they don't believe, they're not wired to give it necessarily. And so they don't think that they should go look for it because, no one would give it to me. And that wiring comes from the fact that I wouldn't give it to them. But there is the ability to not just tap into collective wisdom, there's the ability to tap into the collective assets of everybody around us to, I didn't coin the term OPM, other people's money. This is something that happens every single day, but many people will limit themselves and not allow themselves to go there to get that, or they just think it's more complicated. They don't understand the game, the rules. And it's for you, Jarek, and if you're advising somebody listening right now, what do you think's really gets in the way of people? Is it just not knowing enough, or is there something else that you think gets in the way of, two dishwashers, but one ends up with thousands of units, and one ends up with a rented apartment, and that's it?
Yeah.
What is that?
I think, but that's my belief, right? It's our mindset. It's our mindset, right? So what happened is, if you were taught entire life, that you're gonna be an employee, you're gonna work hard for money and money. If you believe in that, it's already programmed in your subconscious mind, so that you cannot make a decision. You know what I mean? So what happened is, every time I talk to people, it's people even open businesses, right? And it's I want to go to the next level. I want to do the next. I want to do something else. But then everything in their head, and that they don't have the resources, or they don't have anybody backup, because the whole family is telling them something else. You're the dreamer, this doesn't work. And you have to sometimes leave the bubble and leave all this stuff behind you. When you want to get in a business and you want to start, and Daniel, I'm telling you truly how you have to bury the old person. Everything that your parents taught you, everything that the teachers, the priests, the coaches, you just gotta forget, and you gotta set yourself free. And it's okay to make mistakes. And people are scared of failures. People are just scared shitless. I want this, but I don't want to try it. And then every time you have a fear, you feel like there is a scarcity, ask yourself a question. Why am I afraid of? What I'm scared of? And it's a stuff from the wounded child from years before. You know what I mean? Like I have friends comes Jarek, I have, let's say, 20 units, I want to go to 100. I'm like, okay, so why aren't you? Well, because then, I can't control it. Okay, so where's the control coming from? You cannot manage 100 units, do the plumber, do be the painter, be the accountant, finding the new deals. You cannot just do everything. But it's people want to have a control. Control doesn't exist. So we have different kind of fears. And the fears are completely blocking us. Daniel, I have always zero emotional attachments to money. Today I have 100 million. Tomorrow I have 10 million. Life. Or today I have 10 million, and then tomorrow I'm $20 million onto IRS. Life. You know what I mean? I have so what happened is I was always going forward. But it took years and years of being okay to fail.
Let's unpack what you just said. Control doesn't exist. Let's tell me more. Control doesn't exist. And I want to pause there, because you told that from the perspective of, I want to control how, wonderful my 100 apartments are, but, so I become the bottleneck, and I need to be the plumber and the this and the that. It's impossible. In my industry, in the real estate sales industry, people will absolutely put a ceiling on their growth of where they're going, because I need to have every touch point with every communication, with every answer the phone, send every email, sweep the floor with every client. And I say, you know what? I remember telling somebody at a conference, I was speaking on stage, and they said something to that effect, Jarek, and I said, you know what? You're right. You do have better relationships than me. You're right. You do. Your relationships are way up here. And I put my hand way as high as I could take it. Now, my relationships, they're really good. They're not as good as yours. They're right there. Still really, really high, but just, an inch below yours. Having said that, if I'm serving 10, 20, 30, 50 times more people than you are, who's actually creating a bigger collective good, who's serving like, God forbid they'd end up with someone average, right? And so at the end of the day, who's creating more good in the world? And all it cost was just a little bit of control being, let go. So it's a huge deal. It's a huge bottleneck for most people.
But
You
the
went
deeper,
deeper. You went deeper, though. You said it
question
doesn't exist. So take me into control doesn't exist.
well, the deeper issue is, why do you want to control? Like, what is the reason? What happened in the past that you're feeling like you want to be in control? So let's say I was a bully, right? Let's say I was told in school I'm stupid or I'm not enough, right? I was taken for coaches, then you're weak, you're never gonna be anybody. So you have all those pain caused by other people when you were growing up, consciously or unconsciously, right? By the parents, let's say. But all this stuff is within you. So what happens is then when you have to make a decision, when somebody has to make a big decision, and I know what the block is, I'm like, go back, go in the past. Why you blocking? What is controlling? What is the lack of trust? Like control is number one. What is the lack of trust? Maybe you don't trust yourself. Why you don't trust yourself? Because you keep breaking promises to yourself. Oh yeah, I suck in negotiations. Why you suck in negotiations? Because you're not good negotiating with yourselves. So it's like everything we do outside, it's a really inside the battles that we fight. And those battles came, Daniel, from the past. Sometimes we get lucky, but we get lucky to a certain level because you can skip some levels. And when you get, like, if you don't do the work and you don't get the experience, then you're going to be stuck on another level. And then we have to go back, but people don't want to go back.
This is, makes me think that you have a podcast about all the inner work, right? The inner wealth versus the outer wealth.
Yes.
And what's the name of the podcast? I'd love to give it out to people so they could check it out.
It's a mastering inner wealth and outer wealth.
Mastering inner wealth and outer wealth.
Yeah. The reason I come up with that, because what happened is I achieved enormous success from the outer wealth, and my inner world like completely was broken. So what happened is there was like a huge distance, and finally I broke. You know what I mean? And it's funny having everything I have, like, I don't drink, I'm physically fit, I'm mentally strong, emotionally strong, I have a good faith with God, I have a good relationship with my queen, with my kids, I'm financially strong, and I'm broken inside. And I almost commit suicide. Because the difference between, there was like if you want to be successful, there's no balance. But we all of us just want the balance, want to go towards it. But if the difference between the inner world and outer world is so big, you're going to break. That's why we have so many depressions. That's why we have 720,000 suicides a year globally. 545 are men. That's why we have anxiety, that we have, and COVID, because everybody lacks the connections and the relationships with people. That's why we connected. Like, we just kind of like get next to each other. And we're like, okay, my guy, it's a different frequency level because we really, you and I, we spoke out of the soul, not out of our head. And the best businesses I ever done, Daniel, like, it's a real estate, Jarek. Like, what do you mean your heart was telling you that? Because I felt so good, like everything, like when I got to those communities, like, say, let's say 200, 300 building, is like, and I'm like, nobody wants this deal because of this. And my heart was like, this is it. And when you believe it here and you have all this, it's like your mind, your head, you are clever enough, it's going to make those deals work. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no question about it. It's, man, it is, when you start to work on the things that you're discussing right now, it's really where you start to fall in love with life.
Yeah.
And it's where you start to see that, like, I'm looking at you, one of the things that strikes me about you is that you have huge energy for, like, I can see you're falling in love and but you're in the process still of just falling in love with life. You have energy. It's like, if someone didn't know your resume, they would think that you're like a big kid trying to make it in the world.
I am. I'm 52 years old. I got my life back 4 years ago. I got my life back. You know what I mean? I was constantly looking for validation from outside world. You see those medals, all those Ironmans, all the winning competition. So I get the kudos. Good, Jarek, good. And another $10 million, another 20 million, another 100 million. Everything I was doing to get a validation from the outside world. But guess what? I never got validation from the little Jarek. I never got validation from myself. And life happened from inside out, not from outside in. So I was going for 48 years of my life looking for all the happiness, all the answers outside. And I got them all right here in my soul, in my spirit, inside. And that's what I messed up. And my message is to people, it doesn't matter how rich you get. There is never enough. If you're miserable, if you don't fix yourself, if you don't fix your inner world, you're going to be miserable. You're going to die miserable. And you're probably going to try to commit suicide like I did. Because, something's going to break and you're going to lose the battles with your voices.
So, I know suicide and suicide prevention awareness, it all has become a huge passion area for yourself to make an impact
That almost becomes statistic, Daniel.
You became almost one of the statistics. So what, how can someone take this concept of working on the inner world instead of on the, and then what are some strategies or an approach, or what do they learn, listen to, experience, so that they can actually bring it into fruition and start to feel it, to start to have real change in their lives? What might that have been for you, or could you share that you just know is helpful to others that they could take a step today?
Let's say, I always people tell, if you want to do something, right? Let's say you want to have more money, okay? Ask the question, why you want to have more money? Do you want to have more money because it's not enough? You play the comparison game, or you want to prove the world, or what is the main reason you want more money? Because if you tell me that you want more money, I'll give you $1. You have more money. Right? You have more money. What is the reason? What? And then ask the second question. Let's say I'm gonna okay, so I want more money. Why I want more money? Well, because I want to impress a girl, especially younger generation, right? I want to impress a girl. You know what I mean? Or for the older generation, I want to provide more to my kids. Okay, got it. Valid reasons, right? Why you want to provide more? Well, because everybody has it. So now it comes comparison game. Why I'm comparing myself to? There's always somebody smarter than you are. Always somebody fitter than you are. Somebody prettier than you are. Wealthier than you are. With bigger yacht, with bigger jet, with bigger influence. And why are you doing it? Are you doing this for yourself, or are you doing this again to get a acknowledgement? I always say, validation. And when you get in the tunnel, when you get in the rat race, you're gonna lose. And it's hard to sometimes go back and kind of wait a minute, where is all this stuff? Where's all the feelings? Where's all the emotions coming from? Why I want all those things? Because truly, but yeah, she's got everything. So what is he complaining about? I have everything, but I was broken inside because I never water myself. Like I told you, I go every morning to the mirror, Jarek, I neglect you for 48 years. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. Thank you. Please forgive me. We'll take care of it. And every single day, look straight into my eyes, and I just talk to myself. And when I start doing all the inner work, suddenly everything, the abundance comes, new relationships comes in, open the new doors. And suddenly, when you're looking for something, when you're chasing, it's hard to get. When you stop chasing and you do the work on yourself, suddenly all this stuff starts coming to you.
So to that point, let's talk about goals, because there's people that swear by, we establish goals. We have a 1-year goal, a 3-year goal, a 10-year goal. We have a business plan for all of it. We know exactly where we're going. There's people that say, no, I know I'm going there, and I'm just going to do the next right thing today. And my business plan is to win right now, today, and the win tomorrow. What's your approach? How do you see all that? Because you ended up with all of these quote unquote riches, right? But did you have your eye and target on them, or did they just show up as a result of a shift in your life that had nothing to, where does it come from? What's your approach?
But it's, you know what, I always have a big goals, like always, but my goals were always 30 years, 40 years forward. Like we talk like, for a week, and like my goals right now to live to 120, 140. So that's my goal. So my goal is 70 years. That's my goal. And in the 70 years, I want to help 8 billion people. It's infinite goal. You can't achieve it. You know what I mean? So I always look forward. But all the decisions happen right now. You create the future. The way, even right now, we have this podcast. There's going to be a lot of like planting seeds for you and me. And it's going to like, I said that. I can't believe it. You said that. And it's like, this is going to take us somewhere else. We don't know right now where. But, it's like, it's you, like when you ask me, like, let's do the podcast, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. If you asked me like 5 years ago, you would not, number one, we would not connect even in the mastermind. I would not talk to you. I would just close. I was very introvert. It's like, and if somebody's look at me, I'll be like, just don't. Hi, I'm Daniel. Hi, I'm Jarek. You know what I mean?
My God, man, you have no idea the chord you're hitting. A discovery that I've had recently, I've been doing a lot of inner work as well. And I was exactly like what you just described. I was standoffish. I didn't want to get to know anybody. If the waiter came over, I was at a restaurant last night and the waiter was chatting it up and I'm getting to know the guy. I would have wanted to punch him in the face if he had done that to me. Even frankly, I'm in a different part of my, journey. And even a month ago, 2 months ago, I would have wanted to just literally punch the guy in the face and ask the GM to send me a new waiter. I didn't want to get to know any. You know what I discovered why that is? I didn't want to get to know them because I didn't want them to get to know me. Like I didn't want.
I get a goosebump. Oh my gosh! Like,
like, are they going to see what's under? Are they going to see Are they going to see me? I don't know. I want to be seen. But at the same time, Jarek,
this
all
is
these
huge.
years, if I was on a stage, if I was in, that kind of setting, I could get up, I could rock it, I could talk, but I had full perceived control over the environment. I didn't have to answer anyone's questions, right? It was just my stage. I say what I want. They'll only know what I want them to know about me. And then I get to run off stage and not talk to anybody. So I understand. And I connect with the idea of, I walked away from this experience where you and I met and with all kinds of wonderful relationships. I was on the phone with one of them this morning, and that would not have been true a short time ago. I just would not have been. I would have had a lot of notes, very proud of myself. And then maybe, you know what? Maybe I would have even gone on to make millions of dollars with the information that I brought back. It's possible. In fact, it has been possible. It's been true in my life. Tony Robbins is an example, always talks about, this might resonate with the audience, and by all means, go study Tony. He talks about getting out of your head and into your heart. It is a very different way of living, but the question for me was, well, how do I do that, right? Like, how do I drop in? How do I make that actual shift? What's your approach to actually finding that? Was it just the suicide attempt made you wake up and that's where it all shifted? Is it that you started to expose yourself to different teachers, the different healers? Where did that come from for you? Because I'll just to wrap up a thought here as I ramble. I wouldn't give up, for any price, really, the way I feel and the way I can connect and the way that I'm just present in the and life will just we'll find out from life itself what comes from it, right? Like these things that come, this beautiful room, I see you sitting in, these things are not the goal whatsoever, because what is for damn sure is that there will be a day when not one bit of it matters, not even a shred of it matters. So you have your suicide attempt. Is it just that snapped you out? Or how do you become this version of yourself?
I suffered. I thought I have a flu, Daniel, and the flu turns to 3 days, turns to a week, and the week turned to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I did not get out of the bed. And suddenly I'm like 40 days suffering in bed, and all my voices, all my inner critics, all the failures. Because remember, in order to be successful, dude, you gotta fail. I mean, seriously, like, and fail badly. And I took them always so well because I'm like, what next? What next? What next? But when I get to the point, like, you know what, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. Because what happened is when the voices takes you in the last 40, 60 days, it become the pain become my identity. Like truly, like this was my identity. And it's funny, having all of this, none of it mattered. None of it. I will give away all my wealth, everything, just to start from the beginning. But I didn't trust myself. I didn't believe myself. I didn't have any faith in myself. And I'm like, you know what, time to go. And when I was like in a bed screaming, like literally when there was nobody in the home, I was like screaming with the floor, like, why? And suddenly the voice came and it's like, dude, you have nothing to complain about. And you're in this position. And remember that I made fun of people that go through depression. I made fun of people that don't have money. You know, you in the press, get out of the house, go to the gym, or just do something. When you broke, get a job, get a second job, open business, do something. You know, when you're overweight, well, start eating right. Like, I have zero empathy for anybody who complains. But at the same time, I have zero empathy for me because I have the highest expectations of me and no empathy. So I never took care of the little Jarek, never. And when Sana is like, I need to share the story because a lot of people think that money, you know, it's going to get you there when you buy this, because a lot of people put life on hold. If I only have this, when I only have this, you know what? We have ourselves. Like right now, just waking up in the morning, it's a success. Being alive, it's a success. Being a human being. Imagine, Daniel, you were a dog or a squirrel or a fish. We humans, you know, we take all this stuff for granted. And what happens is when you become vulnerable, like what you said, like lately, you becoming vulnerable, all the gates open. All the gates open. But what happened is we build those bunkers, those walls around us, because we have all those insecurities. That's why you and I were kind of like, no, don't talk to me. I'm going to talk about the stuff that I want to talk about and nothing about me. When you become vulnerable, what's going to happen is suddenly connect with all the other people. I go through the same shit. You know, we have the same connections, and then everything else is like a blooming inside you, and suddenly business gets better, relationship with wife gets better, relationship with kids, you know, your body, your energy switch. It's never, now it's like never ending game. Like I wake up in the morning, the first thing to the prayer, I pray to God is like, hey, I'm awake. What? We took stuff for granted. And the little stuff. We want, well, I want $1 million. I want a better car. I want a better house. I want my kids to behave. I want my wife to have sex with me more often. Shut up. Just, dude, you alive. Start with that. That gratitude, when you change your life to gratitude and you become vulnerable and you earn it to be vulnerable because you went through enough pain so you can share the story, the life will never be the same.
Guys, the advice I just want to pause to give here very quickly, or at least just highlight something. There's some of the messaging that Jarek is sharing with you, gratitude, right? All this vulnerability. And you might have heard this before. You've heard it in different parts of your life, different spaces from different people, I just want you to pause for a moment that if I can't even bring on somebody that is a many times over Ironman champion, that is a, $1 billion plus asset owner, thousands of apartments, that has the planes and the yachts and the this and the that. If I cannot bring that person on and avoid a conversation about vulnerability, about being open, about connection, about about the inner game, right? The inner work, then maybe it matters. then maybe there's truth to it. Then maybe it's not just hokey talk. Then maybe it's not what I always thought, which is these people just talking about, oh, I want to help people, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, okay, that's a good that's a good talking point. No, it's not a talking point. It's not a talking point. It is the point. But it's not going to ever show up anywhere other than in your mind. Okay, helping people, yes, good, that makes sense. Check. In your brain, intellectually, you can process that, but it's never going to drop in until you work on you. And so all I'm saying is this: I don't have every answer for you right here, and you're not going to get every answer on this podcast. What you are going to get is an awareness that if you don't feel that at a true, like, heart-centered level, if you are in your, just in your mind about it, then I just want you to go looking, go asking, go searching, spend time with yourself and really think about it. If you're the person that, here's a sign for you. Maybe you're a lot like me. I couldn't drive down the road, not for 5 minutes, not for an hour, without getting on the phone, calling somebody, texting somebody, risking my life on the internet. Why? Because the alternative was to just be with myself. Does that land for you at all? Because if it does, it's just something to investigate.
I think the conscious level, the awareness level, the most important, the emotional intelligence is everything. Daniel, 50 years old man, first time in his life went on vacation alone. When my coach told me, Jarek, do you have any USA place? I'm like, yeah, I'm on my beach house. And he goes, can you go there? Take Jessica, make sure she takes your phone, and just spend 2-3 days alone. But make sure all the electronics, everything's and just do nothing. What are you talking about? Me, I'm on the spectrum, high spectrum of ADHD, I have to do, even me sitting for an hour, it was impossible. When I sit and I'm like, Daniel, I'm screwed. And it's 15 minutes, dude, 3 days? 3 days. I mean, just so you know, I did not last 3 days, just so you know, I did not last it. I lasted only a few hours. But I sit there and I was and my head was spinning, right? And it's this, I have to do this. Suddenly the peace came and all the abundance is what? In the middle of the chaos, what a stupid exercise. I found every answer not to do it. When I really do it, I'm I never stop. Since that day, I have a 1 hour a day. If anybody, and people might think that I'm kind of cuckoo bird or something. I have an hour a day. I have a date with Jarek. It's date with Jarek. It's 1 hour every single day. Everybody knows that the hour is black for Jarek. No running shorts, no nothing. It just, I sit with myself, with my own thoughts, and just go through it. You know what I mean? And it's the best time. It's the best time of the life. But what happened is I have to have so many conversations with myself, the positive conversations, not the negative, because when you go to your head, you lose your shit. With your heart, with your soul. And I was and every time I was oh, that's what I'm doing this. The love hits you, because we're looking for the love of our life, but we don't love ourselves. And that's so painful. And believe me, if you're successful in businesses and you're a dick, good for you, but it's gonna catch up with you. If you don't love yourself, you cannot work. You at some point it's gonna break. When you love yourself, then you're not looking for love, because you are love. And then all the insecurities just completely breaks out. You know what I mean? And you just find yourself, and it's gonna be painful. I mean, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be painful, because you're gonna find out everything. Whatever make you uncomfortable, that's when we grow. And whenever you feel comfortable, it's time to grow. I learned in my life for the last 52 years, especially in the business, just be uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. and it never stops. Like, yeah, like when is it gonna stop? Never.
But the
It's
problem,
never ending game.
but the problem is most people don't like. We practice a lot of things in our life, right? Like we practice. If you're gonna play baseball, you practice, then you play. If you want to be tennis player, you practice, you play. The quality you're describing, absolutely, it's critical, right? Like life. I mean, without the challenge, there is no life. Life equals challenge. But in suffering, it's not a word you use, but suffering is a necessity. It's a gift, because all real positive growth and change is on the other side of suffering. We sometimes call that suffering challenge. We call it hardship. We call it, all these things. But most people don't experience suffering other than when life imposes it on them. And so there's something I really believe in, and I've believed in and spoken about for a long time, called forced suffering, right? Like I create these times. Your Ironmans, do you know what they were? And here's actually, I think, something I want to share with you, because it's just hitting me right now, and I think it's a gift for you to have this perspective. Those Ironmans, you've been hard on yourself in the past, thinking, hey, that was just me chasing a trophy. I think something wonderful was happening. You were having it. That was that self-imposed, like, forced suffering that happens during an Ironman race.
Brother, I prefer the physical pain for hours than having 5 minutes of my emotional pain, because the emotional pain is billion times bigger and harder and painful than the physical pain.
That's the
so
practice.
I love that endurance because I could shut the pain off.
Yes,
it didn't work.
But you have to have a practice where you bring pain to yourself in a controlled environment. You weren't going to die on the Ironman. It's going to be okay. I do big mountain climbing, high altitude stuff. It's going to be okay. But you have to have a practice that brings that suffering state, because on the other side of that, like on the other side of darkness is light. All these sayings exist because they exist. They exist because they're real, because there's something to them. A real interesting one, Jarek, and maybe this is the next adventure. I don't know if you've ever looked into darkness retreat. Have you?
No, when my friend told me about it, they lock you up and you're in completely darkness for like 3 days. They just bring the food through their thing, so there's no light, and you do everything in dark.
So what I find fascinating about this concept, when I talk to somebody about, okay, a 6-day darkness retreat, no sound, no noise, no, just dark, period. It sounds frightening. It's scary as hell. All you're doing, there's no boogeyman in there. It's just you. But it's the scariest possible thing you can do. It's interesting, right? And that's just something to investigate.
But we scared of that. Like I'm like, you see, like I was presented with this journey, and I'm like, look, too long. It's like, can we do it 24 hours? Let's do it. You see, like, we want the security. Like, okay, can we do 24 hours? Miles way out. You know what I mean? It's like, but the same thing with anything we do. Like, it sometimes doesn't have to be because the event or journey is 6 days. Sometimes, like, it just try it, and then I love to sit with myself right now. Like, I ask all my coaches, all my friends, and all my, like, like an inner circle, guys, is it okay? Because I love to be freaking alone. It's like, Jarek, you were not alone for freaking 48 years. Of course it's okay. To you, it's different, because you don't allow the new idea. And that's the new idea. That doesn't mean that you loner. It doesn't mean that you are socially awkward. It's just like you just rediscovering who you are and who you neglected for so many years. And when you truly start working on who you are, like this is the gift that I cannot transfer because there's no return on money, but your business, because you're gonna be really, really present in a business. You're gonna be really present with your loved ones. You're gonna be very present, even like right now we're doing the podcast. There's energy through the freaking Zoom. We're on 2 different coasts. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then something always shows up. When you present, you create the future at this moment. and we don't know where this is going to take us. And that's the most important, because you go through the insecurities, you go through all the pains. And it's funny, like I've done it the first time I experienced it through ayahuasca experience, but then I learned how to do it myself. I can be with myself. I don't need any medicine. I don't need, I don't need, anybody. I really can do it even myself during the meditation. And I truly the way right now I learn, I can really because the best gift I can give anybody who wants to succeed in any part of the life, be able to be witness or observer of your own self. If you can give advice to yourself without any zero emotional attachment, so you step out of your body and just give it advice. Like, why is it easy to give advice to somebody else? Because there's no emotional attachment. It's like, of course it's easy. You do this. But yet we cannot give advice to ourselves. When you master the skill of being able to give advice to yourself, your life will never, ever be the same. Because it's like, when I try to give, let's say, I will ask you for advice. Even if I try for 3 days explaining to you the background of the story and everything else, I'm still not going to be able to give you as detail in order to give me advice. You're going to give me your advice from your perspective. I can only give advice to myself, how I perceive myself and my entire life. But being able to step out and knowing you don't have to learn in the seconds, 5 seconds, and just go through it and give it truly advice like I would give it to you, give it to myself, you set for life. You just set, like this is the key. Yeah. And by the way, this is a breakthrough right now for me.
It's beautiful.
And the podcast right now is probably worth $100 million. And I'm not joking, guys. I'm being honest. Like, completely broke me through. It's like when you connect your mind, your conscious mind with subconscious mind, with your soul and your spirit, suddenly like everything, the whole universe connects. And this is and that shit is priceless.
How awesome. How awesome. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing you. You and I are going to be at a really great event for men, this particular event in May, early May. We're going to be there. If you want to come hang out with Jarek and I, drop me a note. And check out his book. It's Not Enoughness. Not Enoughness.
Well, there you go.
If you're on YouTube, I know we can do this. I'm not sure about the other platforms, Spotify, Apple, but on YouTube, we'll drop a link so that you have direct access to his book if you want to grab that. And it's this is the conversation of adventure, of life, and one that I'm looking forward to continuing with you, my friend. Guys, we ask nothing of you to put on this content, to bring guests like this that are just, really make an impact on our lives, other than one small thing that costs you absolutely nothing. Just like or subscribe and share this. The reason why is it tells the algorithm that it's hitting, that it's important, that it's making an impact. And so then, of course, they will show it to others and we can help the podcast grow. If it's made any impact on you, take that one step. This is Masters of Business. And my friend, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thanks for joining us right here. And we are out.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, brother.